So Caitlyn Clark obviously has been a hot button topic on the show and took the WNBA by storm last year. Now her team is going to have 41 of their 44 games nationally televised, while the reigning champs, the Liberty, only have 32.
You know, just bringing different people in, you have some veteran leadership and you have some winning experience, and that's a perfect storm really with the players that you already had. So I think,
hey, don't worry about us. Enjoy yourself. It's a game. You deserve it, girl. Take a load off. Yeah, I'm going to make it awkward like I always do. Hi, Miss Shirley. How you doing? I'm Sydney. Thank you.
We're proud to announce a huge step forward for WNBA players who just reached a monumental agreement with their league. Their paychecks are skyrocketing by 53%. They're getting a 50-50 revenue split with the league. Players on maternity leave will get their full salary plus better workplace and travel accommodations. Way to go and nice going, ladies.
Chicago Sky have had to move 2 of their home games to a larger facility,
Last team in this contender tier, the Indiana Fever. What the heck? They went, round of applause.
That's all I can do. That's my breakdown of it.
Holy,
right there.
What?
Like, they won.
They won.
Hold on. Let me clear that. They didn't win like a championship. I'm not calling them a championship team. Well, championship contender. I'm not giving it to them, but they won free agency, hands down.
Absolutely. Can you imagine
what happens when one player single-handedly transforms a league? Caitlyn Clark, the unstoppable force in women's basketball, has done just that. From a rookie season that shattered expectations to turning a once-forgotten franchise into the WNBA's most-watched team, Clark's rise is nothing short of revolutionary. It's not just about her shooting ability, her game-changing plays, or her dazzling performances. It's the broader ripple effect she has created. She's reshaped an entire league's revenue structure, shattered long-standing traditions, and has everyone, from fans to critics, questioning the old guard's grip on power. But it's not just about basketball anymore. It's about power, money, and a league forever changed by one undeniable superstar. How did a 22-year-old rookie take over the WNBA in such an explosive way? This is the story of Caitlyn Clark, and her meteoric rise is far from over. Caitlyn Clark isn't just breaking records. She's completely rewriting the entire playbook for the WNBA. When she entered the league, it wasn't just her stellar performances that caught everyone's attention. It was the profound impact she had on the entire league and its culture. Right from the start, her presence on the court commanded attention. Every game, every shot, and every play she made became an example of why she was more than just a player. She became a force of nature, and in doing so, turned the Indiana Fever from a team that was often overlooked and underappreciated into a powerhouse that couldn't be ignored. Her debut season wasn't just about winning games, it was about reshaping expectations. Caitlyn Clark didn't just play, she dominated. With her incredible range and shooting precision, especially from beyond the three-point line, Clark set new benchmarks in a league that was in desperate need of a fresh and compelling face. Her ability to score from almost anywhere on the court electrified audiences, while her on-court vision and playmaking abilities showed that she wasn't just a shooter, she was a complete player. Her highlights quickly became viral, and her name was on the lips of basketball fans, sports media, and casual viewers alike. Last season, the Fever became the most-watched team in the history of the WNBA with an unprecedented 41 out of their 44 games nationally televised. This not only broke records for the team, but for the entire league. Caitlyn Clark's debut was a clear statement. She was here to bring attention and excitement to the WNBA, and she was doing it in a way that had never been seen before. When one of the Fever's regular season games attracted a staggering 2.2 million viewers, it was a clear sign that Clark wasn't just moving the needle for her team. She was changing the entire league's dynamic. The Fever's games were drawing in more viewers than the WNBA Finals, something no one had ever anticipated, and certainly not for a regular season game. But the numbers don't lie. The Fever didn't just capture the attention of basketball fans, they captured the interest of the entire sports world. Fans flocked to the arenas, and the Fever saw an unbelievable 265% increase in home attendance. This surge wasn't just a one-off event. It was a sustained increase, one that kept growing as the season progressed. Merchandise sales skyrocketed as fans rushed to buy Fever jerseys, hats, and other team paraphernalia, and a huge chunk of that revenue came from Clark's own jersey sales. The Fever had transformed into a must-watch team, and Clark was the shining star at the center of it all. Even the networks, who had traditionally been hesitant to invest too much in women's sports, weren't just taking a gamble. They were making an investment that was clearly paying off. The massive ratings and the flood of viewers watching Clark's games made it obvious that the WNBA was more than just a niche league. It was becoming mainstream, and Caitlyn Clark was at the forefront of that shift. Her games became cultural touchstones, events that people didn't want to miss. What's truly incredible is that Caitlyn Clark achieved all of this in her rookie year. For a player to come into a league and immediately have such a massive impact on the sport, the team, and the industry is virtually unheard of. The Indiana Fever weren't just a team. Under Clark's influence, they became a national phenomenon. As the WNBA's most powerful player, Caitlyn Clark has not only cemented her place as a star, but she's also ensured that the Fever are positioned to be a dominant force for years to come. Her journey is just beginning, and if the last season was any indication, she's poised to break even more barriers. Just 3 years ago, the Indiana Fever were a forgotten team in the WNBA, struggling to gain any traction or attention in a league dominated by a few powerhouse franchises. The Fever were often an afterthought when it came to national coverage, and their games were frequently relegated to late-night or secondary TV slots. They were a team stuck in the shadows, trying to make a name for themselves but often falling short in a crowded league. The crowds were sparse, and the media coverage was almost non-existent, leaving the Fever to fight for relevance in an increasingly competitive landscape. But fast forward to today, and you'll find a completely transformed franchise. Caitlyn Clark's arrival has not only brought a talented player to the Fever, she has single-handedly turned them into the hottest ticket in basketball. The once quiet games are now cultural events that fans are eager to attend. People are talking about the Fever, and they're not just talking, they're showing up in droves. Fans aren't just coming to watch a game, they're coming to witness history in the making. The Fever have gone from being a team struggling to sell tickets to one that consistently packs the stands, and the numbers speak for themselves. So significant has Clark's impact been that other WNBA teams have had to scramble to accommodate the demand for tickets. 6 teams have already relocated their home games to NBA-sized arenas just to keep up with the overwhelming crowds. The Chicago Sky, for instance, had to move 2 of their home games to the United Center, the massive venue where the Chicago Bulls play. The Dallas Wings upgraded to the American Airlines Center, and even the Atlanta Dream, who had initially played down Clark's influence, found themselves rushing to secure larger venues to host the crowds she was attracting. The Fever's success has had a ripple effect across the league, with other teams starting to feel the pressure to raise their standards. Even franchises that once struggled to sell tickets are now witnessing a surge in interest. Fans are coming from all over to see Clark play, and every away game has become a must-see event. The Fever's success is no longer confined to Indianapolis. It's a nationwide spectacle, one that transcends geography and has fans from all corners of the country tuning in to watch the games. What's truly remarkable is the cultural shift that has taken place in such a short amount of time. What was once considered a mid-tier team has now become the focal point of women's basketball in America. The Fever are no longer just another team in the WNBA. They're now the team that everyone is talking about, the team that sets the tone for the entire league. And it's all because of Caitlyn Clark. Her rise has breathed new life into the WNBA, making it clear that the league isn't just about a few dominant teams anymore. It's about giving every team the opportunity to rise and compete on a level playing field. Clark's arrival has made the Fever not just a competitive force, but a cultural phenomenon that fans are flocking to, no matter where they live. This transformation, led by Caitlyn Clark, is reshaping the future of the WNBA, and it's all unfolding right before our eyes. Caitlyn Clark's impact on the WNBA has transcended her performance on the court, reshaping the league's entire economic structure. Her dominance has sparked a financial revolution, one that is setting new standards for what is possible in women's professional sports. When Clark first took to the floor for the Fever, it wasn't just about basketball, it was about creating an economic boom that the WNBA had never seen before. Her games quickly became the hottest ticket in sports, and the numbers bear that out. For the first time in the league's history, national TV ratings surged to levels previously thought to be unattainable. In fact, Clark's games accounted for over half of the WNBA's national TV revenue last season. This is no small feat, especially given the league's struggles in previous years to attract mainstream attention and major TV deals. But Clark's influence on WNBA economics isn't just about the viewership, it's about what that viewership has unlocked. As television ratings climbed, so did sponsorship opportunities. Major corporations, eager to align with Clark's rising star, flooded the market with endorsement deals, product placements, and marketing partnerships. The corporate world quickly recognized the undeniable power of Clark's influence, not just as an athlete, but as a cultural icon who resonates with fans both inside and outside the basketball world. What was once considered a niche market for women's sports suddenly became a prime space for brands looking to capture a younger, engaged audience that was craving more from their entertainment choices. Sponsorship deals have skyrocketed, and brands are now eager to partner with Clark and the Fever to access the larger-than-life marketing opportunities she brings. Major companies are seeing their investments pay off as her face becomes synonymous with success in the WNBA. Beyond the brands, her meteoric rise has had a direct and measurable impact on player salaries as well. For the first time in WNBA history, salaries are rising as teams, driven by the financial surge that Clark's presence has caused, negotiate higher paychecks for their stars. Clark's influence isn't limited to her own earnings. Her success has opened the door for other players to command higher salaries and better benefits as the market for female athletes continues to grow and evolve. This kind of financial growth has never been seen before in the WNBA. Even the most established teams and players are feeling the ripple effects of Clark's rise. What used to be a modest and underfunded league is now a financial force, one that is attracting big-name sponsors, major TV networks, and fans in droves. And at the center of it all is Caitlyn Clark. She isn't just a player, she's a businesswoman, and the financial ecosystem of the WNBA is being shaped by her unprecedented success. The real question that remains is, how will the WNBA and its owners respond to this growth? Will they fully embrace the opportunities Clark is creating, or will they try to limit the influence of one player whose success threatens to overshadow the old guard? It's clear that Caitlyn Clark has changed the game in more ways than one, and the future of the WNBA will depend on how the league navigates the opportunities her dominance has created. As Caitlyn Clark's success continues to redefine the WNBA, the inevitable backlash has started to surface. It's no surprise that with such meteoric rise, some are quick to criticize, dismissing her achievements as nothing more than a marketing stunt. Rival players, media personalities, and even a portion of the fan base have been vocal in questioning whether Clark's popularity is truly deserved. Some claim that it's all hype, that the media and the league are giving her far more attention than she deserves. They argue that her fame is the result of a calculated marketing effort, not genuine athletic achievement. However, those claims don't hold up when you dig into the numbers. Caitlyn Clark isn't just popular because of her story or the media buzz surrounding her. She's dominating on the court, and the stats back that up. Clark's impact isn't a flash in the pan. She's consistently performed at an elite level, breaking records and leading her team to new heights. But why the backlash? Why is there such a strong resistance to a 22-year-old rookie who is simply playing the game at an exceptional level? The answer is layered. At its core, the backlash is about fear of change and fear of the disruption of an established system. For decades, the WNBA and women's professional sports, in general, were defined by a certain narrative, one that revolved around a handful of teams and players who were considered the face of the league. Caitlyn Clark's rise threatens that narrative. Her ability to quickly turn a team like the Indiana Fever into the most talked-about franchise in the league has rattled those who have held power in the WNBA for years. Furthermore, there is an undeniable double standard at play. Male athletes like LeBron James, Tom Brady, or Patrick Mahomes are celebrated for their dominance in their respective leagues, often elevated to the status of icons. They are praised for pushing the boundaries of what is possible, and their media coverage is a testament to their unparalleled skills. Yet when Caitlyn Clark does the same for the WNBA, she faces criticism. The praise and attention she receives are dismissed as too much or unfair, and some even go as far as to accuse the league of giving her preferential treatment. There's a discomfort, perhaps even a jealousy, when a woman, especially a young woman, dominates in a space that has historically been male-dominated. This double standard is not just frustrating, it's revealing. It exposes the deep-seated biases and gender norms that still persist in the way women's sports are viewed. When Clark dominates, some people simply can't reconcile her success with the traditional expectations of female athletes. They want her to stay humble, not to take up too much space. But when male athletes do the same thing, their confidence and success are praised. The truth is that Caitlyn Clark is changing the narrative, and for some, that's a hard pill to swallow. Yet, despite the criticism, Clark remains focused. She continues to prove herself on the court, and her performance does all the talking, allowing her to rise above the noise of the doubters. In the world of sports media, drama sells. And what better way to create drama than by fabricating rivalries? Caitlyn Clark's rise in the WNBA has undoubtedly generated a lot of media attention, but with that attention has come a wave of manufactured conflicts. The most prominent example? The supposed beef between Caitlyn Clark and Angel Reese. It's a classic case of media manipulation, creating a rivalry that wasn't there to begin with. From the moment the media started to speculate about a rivalry between the two, it gained traction, but it wasn't based on any real animosity. Instead, it was fueled by the desire for sensationalism and clicks. Clark, however, wasn't interested in feeding the media machine. While the stories about her supposed feud with Reese continued to dominate headlines, Clark remained focused on her game, understanding that the real power lies in her performance, not in petty drama. Every time she hit the court, her talent spoke louder than any media narrative. Her playmaking ability, her shooting, her leadership on and off the court, those were the things that made her a star. While the media churned out stories designed to fuel rivalry and division, Clark stayed focused on what mattered, winning games and elevating her team. What's remarkable about Caitlyn Clark is her ability to tune out the distractions and stay focused on the bigger picture. While other players might get caught up in media-generated drama, Clark has remained steadfast in her mission to lead the Fever and make a lasting impact on the league. This ability to ignore the noise, avoid drama, and let her play do the talking is what sets her apart from many athletes. The media can manipulate the narrative all they want, but Caitlyn Clark is in control of the story, and she's not interested in participating in the manufactured rivalries that others are eager to create. As the media continues to stir the pot, Clark remains the calm in the storm, letting her game and her legacy speak for themselves. Caitlyn Clark's rise in the WNBA is not just a story of athletic achievement, it's a cultural revolution. Her impact stretches far beyond basketball and into the fabric of society, as she has quickly become a symbol of change, empowerment, and the future of women's sports. Everywhere Clark goes, there's a palpable wave of excitement. It's more than just the thrill of watching a game. It's about witnessing a new era of sports, one where women's athletics are no longer an afterthought, but a powerful force in the global sports landscape. Caitlyn Clark represents the evolution of women's sports from being a niche interest to a mainstream, cultural phenomenon. Her presence on the court is electric, but it's the energy off the court that is truly transformative. For the first time in decades, women's basketball is getting the recognition and respect it deserves. Clark's rise has captivated fans from all walks of life, bringing a fresh new excitement to the game. The Fever's attendance numbers reflect this seismic shift in interest. Last season, every Fever game saw an incredible 87% increase in attendance. This wasn't just limited to home games. The Fever's away games saw similar surges, as fans across the country flocked to arenas to witness Clark's brilliance firsthand. It's clear that Caitlyn Clark isn't just a basketball player. She's a global sensation who has sparked a cultural awakening. Her star power has had a ripple effect across the league, and even teams that once struggled to fill their arenas are now benefiting from Clark's influence. Take the Washington Mystics, for example, who set a single-game attendance record of 20,711 fans when Clark's Fever came to town. These weren't just casual fans. They were people who, perhaps, never even thought about attending a WNBA game before Clark's arrival. Clark's presence in any city now guarantees an influx of new fans, some of whom are being introduced to the WNBA for the very first time. Even teams like the Connecticut Sun, once limited by smaller venues, have had to upgrade their arenas just to meet the growing demand for tickets. The Fever's games are no longer just games. They're events, drawing massive crowds that transcend traditional sports fans. But Clark's impact isn't limited to filling seats in arenas. Her presence has shifted the broader cultural narrative surrounding women athletes. For years, women's sports were often overlooked, and when they were covered, they were frequently framed as secondary to male-dominated sports. But Clark is changing all of that. She's not just a star, she's a force of nature, and the way fans now view women's sports is changing. The flood of media coverage, the rise in television ratings, the endorsements, the fan engagement, it's all pointing toward a future where women athletes are just as celebrated, just as respected, and just as valuable as their male counterparts. Clark's journey has become a source of inspiration for countless young athletes, especially girls who now see a tangible example of what they can achieve. She's proving that women's sports are not just entertaining, they're essential. She's breaking down barriers that have stood for generations, and her influence is spreading far beyond the basketball court. With Clark leading the way, women's sports are no longer just an afterthought. They're a cultural force that is here to stay. As Caitlyn Clark continues to rise and dominate the WNBA, the future of the league stands at a crossroads. The WNBA has long been a league striving for respect, visibility, and financial stability. For years, it battled with the perception that women's sports didn't draw the same level of attention or excitement as men's. But now, with Clark at the forefront, the league has found its shining star, the player who has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that women's sports can be just as thrilling, just as engaging, and just as financially lucrative as their male counterparts. Clark's influence is undeniable. Whether the WNBA and its old guard like it or not, the league is already different because of her. Her impact goes beyond her individual performances on the court. It's about how her success is shaping the future of the entire league. Clark has shown the world that a single player can elevate an entire league, and it's no longer about the league just surviving, but thriving in an era of heightened visibility for women's sports. She has demonstrated that star power can drive a league forward, and that the WNBA needs more players who can captivate audiences, more players who challenge the status quo, and more players who bring something new and exciting to the table. For years, the WNBA struggled to carve out its place in the broader sports ecosystem. Women's sports often played second fiddle to their male counterparts, with fewer sponsorships, lower salaries, and limited media coverage. Caitlyn Clark has shattered that narrative. She has proven that women's sports don't need to fit into an old, established mold to succeed. They need stars who can draw fans and sponsors, who can inspire and entertain, and who can make the sport impossible to ignore. The WNBA is no longer just a league. It's becoming a cultural force, and it's happening because of Caitlyn Clark. But this success isn't without its challenges. The WNBA now faces a critical question. Will they embrace the changes that Clark has sparked, or will they resist the shifts in power that her rise represents? It's clear that Clark's legacy is already cemented. Her place in WNBA history is secure. But the real question is whether the league can keep up with the cultural and financial shifts that Clark's success has ignited. Clark has proven that women's sports are not just viable, they're an essential part of the sports ecosystem. She has set the stage for a new era of women's athletics, one where female athletes are not an afterthought, but the headliners. The WNBA now has a choice to make. Will it evolve with Caitlyn Clark, embracing the change she represents and continuing to build a league that thrives on star power and broad appeal? Or will it remain stuck in the past, resisting the growth that is so clearly within reach? One thing is for sure, Caitlyn Clark's legacy is already shaping the future of women's sports, and whether the WNBA embraces that future or not, Clark's influence will be felt for years to come. The league may have just found its new face, and with it, a future that looks brighter than ever before. Caitlyn Clark has arrived, and the WNBA will never be the same. Whether it's the surge in revenue, the cultural takeover, or the changing landscape of women's sports, Clark is proving that superstars don't just play the game, they transform it. The future of women's basketball is in her hands, and the world is watching. Will the league embrace her revolution, or will it resist? Only time will tell, but one thing's for certain: the WNBA's transformation has only just begun.